minutes.
We keep hearing that they want to run the ball more. Do you think they're going to run the ball more than they pass the ball? Or if they pass the ball, what do you think the percentages will be? And keep in mind, the Broncos last year threw the ball close to 58% of the time, ran the ball about 42% of the time. What do you think those percentages will be under Kubiak?
Probably 54-46, 55-45. It'll be closer to even, but it won't. They're still going to pass more with Peyton Manning. It's not, but it's not going to be more rushing than passing. And it brings up an interesting dynamic, Les. What would a great season be for Peyton this year? Maybe 33 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The days of him 50 touchdowns, I don't see that, because that's not what they want this offense to look like. When I've talked to Gary Kubiak on multiple occasions, he said his first priority, Woody, is physical up front, physical identity, run the ball. Everything spins off it while incorporating Manning. But they need to be more physical. I've said it, it's just like bullpens. If you use your bullpen when you want to, not when you have to, you have a great team. If you run the ball when you want to, not when you have to, you have a great football team. That's where they want to get to, is to where they can say, 3rd and 5, we're ready to run the ball down your throat here. We're so confident, and our linemen love it. The problem they had was they tried to be the Phoenix Suns during the season, and then the 10th game they wanted to be a half-court team and play Eastern Conference basketball. And it's hard to be both. It's hard to be both unless you're one of the greatest teams of all time and have a bunch of Hall of Fame linemen, and they couldn't do it, and it got exposed in the playoffs.
They might have gotten away with it though. When they got beat by Baltimore, they might have gotten away with it that year. Because
well, that year they were a passing team almost completely, though.
That's what I'm talking about. They might have gotten away with being the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
They could have been the Golden State Warriors, because if they beat Baltimore, I think they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, with Kaepernick, a rookie quarterback,
I mean,
in the
they
Super
got
Bowl.
beat on a quirky play, a bad play, whatever, and they got beat. You know, Peyton Manning throws an interception in overtime, and John Fox doesn't let him go for it because he's a wuss, and all the things that happened then. But they could have gotten away with it, and then they probably would have done it again the next year. But to answer your question specifically, of course they're not going to run more than they pass. They're going to be options, and you know as well as I do that Peyton Manning's still going to have the right when he goes to the line to actually call off the play, and he's going to look at it, and people are going to say, oh, they're running the football more. He's going to pull out of a running play. He's not afraid of Gary Kubiak, and that's the question that had been asked. Is Peyton Manning going to be afraid of Gary Kubiak and Gary Kubiak running him? No. Peyton Manning's not afraid of anybody. Gary Kubiak's a very strong voice, but if Peyton Manning goes up the line of scrimmage, he's still going to have the option to pass or throw. Guess what he wants to do more of?
I think he'll respect what Gary Kubiak has to say more than he respects what John Fox had to say.
I didn't say that. Is he afraid of him? That's two different words. No, he's not afraid of him.
I think it's more Kubiak's team now than it is Peyton's, and I don't think you could have said that with Peyton and Fox.
Do you think Kaepernick was afraid of Harbaugh? Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw a number at you guys.
Okay.
Gary Kubiak's last year in Houston as the head coach, 2013, he passed the ball 633 times and ran it 414.
Go back before that, though, because I think that's a misleading year.
Well, but let me just say this. That number, 633, is more times than the Broncos have ever passed the ball with Peyton Manning at quarterback.
Say this
and Case Keenum played half the season at quarterback for Houston.
That's why you have to take that into, I say this respectfully, they had, Arian Foster was hurt, Andre Johnson was hurt.
They were playing behind in a lot of games. I get it.
Their quarterback situation was totally blown up because the guy they depended on for years got hurt, wasn't good anymore. They went through 4 quarterbacks, I think. A fair, if you would do this for me, would be to go back like middle of first year they got in the playoffs. Can you do that?
I have the numbers, yeah.
Okay.
What year are you looking at?
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm with Troy. I think it's going to be 53, 54%.
Well, no, even in those years, Woody, he actually threw the ball about 56, 57% of the time. Even when Schaub was healthy at quarterback and either Steve Slayton or Arian Foster were having good games of running it. The only year he ran it more than he threw it was the 2011 season. We're talking about Gary Kubiak and the Texans now. He ran it 546 times. He only threw it 467 because it was a mess at quarterback. Schaub got hurt. He went to T.J. Yates. He had Jake Delhomme. He had Matt Leinart. He had to run the ball. those years,
Well,
that year.
Kubiak is more flexible than people realize. Now, he likes to run the ball because he knows what happens when you run the ball. You dictate tempo, you have a physical presence, it becomes the identity of your team. There's so many outgrowths of running the football to how a team's image is tougher, stronger. You get away from that finesse label. But don't kid yourself. Gary Kubiak is a flexible coach.
And you know what I think? I think he does what he has to do.
Right, exactly.
I think he looks at his quarterback
adaptable.
situation, his running back situation, and he sees what he has to do.
I would put it a different way. He wants to run effectively, efficiently. It's not that he wants to run the football all the time. He wants to run it like the Broncos ran it under Shanahan when they were effective. At the end of John Elway's career, he wants to find another Terrell Davis or a Terrell Davis look-alike or clone-alike or whatever. He wants C.J. Anderson to rush for 1,200 yards. He wants Monte Ball to get 300 yards. People kind of forget. You look at last year, what would you guess there? You covered the team, you've been around the team. What did they rush for last year? How much yardage did they get rushing?
I just wrote this in the mailbag. It was like 1,800. They rushed the ball fine. The yards per carry wasn't great.
But they rushed it 1,800 times.
Yeah.
So for
they were
this
500
Sunday,
fewer than the Cowboys and Seahawks.
People are these same goofs out there that are addressing other teams' issues. Don't even get they ran the ball for 1,800 yards last year. That was quality. Maybe the yards per carry weren't, but they ran the ball for 1,800 yards. That's about what they were running for. I went back and looked at the last John Elway years. They were running for about 2,200 yards because Terrell Davis went for 2,000 yards one year. They weren't, I mean, even in the grand old days of Alex and Gibbs and Shanahan and running the football and even Dan Reeves wanting to do, they were running for more than they were last year. It's just running it efficiently and showing it to people. But when he goes up to that line of scrimmage, he's still going to have the right to look over and see if they're two deep safeties. And if they're two deep safeties, he's going to run the football. Forgive me for giving away secrets. If there's one deep safety, he's going to throw the football. He knows there are 8 men in the box. He's not going to change what he's done, even when he had Edgerrin James, who was rushing for 2,000 yards. He was looking at the line of scrimmage and deciding on what was the defense. That's not going to change under Gary Kubiak, I think.
I will say this about Peyton, though. He doesn't put it into a pass play out of selfishness. As what he just described, he takes pride in putting it in the right play because it's the right play.
He doesn't
based on the scheme. It's not, I've got to get my yards. He's never done it like a fantasy league quarterback, empty stats. Peyton is the master at the line of scrimmage.
Let me tell you
no
what
one's
he
ever
says,
been better.
And you're wrong, and I do this. He doesn't get them in the right play. What he has told me ever since I began knowing him, I want to get us out of the wrong play.
Okay.
I know it's the same thing, but that's the way he was saying. I want to get us out of the wrong play. I don't want us to be in a play that's going to lose 2 yards.
Lose yards.
So it's not that this one's going to be better, but I know this is going to be a bad play because I can see what's coming from over here. I see they got 8 men in the box, and I'm going to, so, yeah.
That NFL update sponsored by the Fantasy Sports Combine. It's coming up July 17th through the 19th at the Wynn in Las Vegas. You can get fantasy football advice from guys like Adam Schefter and Matthew Berry and Mike Shanahan and Brandon Stokely. They're all going to be there. You get to rub shoulders with them, eat lunch with them, talk to them about your fantasy football team and how you should draft in the upcoming season. So get your tickets today, still a few available, at FantasySportsCombine.com. That's FantasySportsCombine.com. It's coming up weekend after next, so get on the hump and get it done.